Here's a Newsweek story. AOC slams Tucker Carlson as trash after he calls her rich white lady. Representative AOC has referred to Fox News host Tucker Carlson as a creep after he falsely claimed that she was not a person of color, but instead a rich, entitled white lady. Carlson insisted that AOC was white despite her shade while discussing the upcoming book, Take Up Space. The unprecedented AOC Carlson took exception to the book's author writing that the Congresswoman had fully out loud white female, asking whether they are referring to a trans thing, because arguing that no one has done more personally to degrade American womanhood. AOC responded by sharing a clip of Carlson making the claim to Twitter alongside the caption, "This is the type of stuff you say when your name starts with a P and ends with a dejo." Okay, and referring to the Spanish language term pendejo, right, is what she's talking about. But what do you think about AOC and her rise? She's come up. She's got nearly 50 million Twitter followers, and when she talks, she gets millions of views. How do you think that happened?
She's a generational leader. She's speaking to her generation. I have two daughters. My older one, 25, not exactly all in on AOC, but her politics, not unlike some of that. Bernie Sanders type socialist politics that sounds good, but realistically is ridiculous, doesn't work. But she's a generational leader, and she's taken full advantage of the new mode of communication through social media. What she's saying there, though, is an example of how these elitists, and she's now become part of the elite. She's got a different backing, but she's part of the elite now. How these elitists want us to believe stuff that we know our common sense tells us isn't true. So, I mean, if you look at AOC, Tucker Carlson's not altogether wrong in how he said what she is. I mean, she's from the suburbs, came from a nicer area that wasn't raised in the Bronx, where she represents. And can you say this? But looks to me when I see her, she has light skin. So she's saying she's a woman of color, but she seems...
But is he making the same mistake that you admitted making the same mistake when you said that you were more black than Obama?
I don't think she's light skinned. I think she looks Hispanic. No, I don't.
Well, definitely
I don't,
Latina. Yeah. But I'm just saying this goes down to the neo-racism, race card. I know you have strong feelings on that. Is that? I'm just putting that out there. Is that
she capitalizes off of opportunities like this. Mm-hmm. She's a total capitalist. You have to realize.
Yeah.
Except her method of capitalism is different. Yeah. She capitalizes off any moment to play the victim card to get her audience to say, you know, he's this, and hey, this is why we need to come together. She's a very, very good, young, up-and-coming star of a politician. Mm-hmm. She's a very good politician. And you got to give it to her.
Less than 10 years, clearly. Like you said, most politicians, 70% of them.
I think do not be... pull up her age right now. She's 32 right now. 32. I think she's 32 or 30. Her name keeps coming up. Age, AOC age is 32. Yeah, she's 32, October 13th. And she's a Libra. Come on, AOC. We're 5 days apart. She's 32.
What does that say about her? Pat is very big into horoscopes. Yeah, what does that say about her?
Well, that's the 30% that screws it up. Okay, because there's nothing about her that's balanced. There's nothing about her that's balanced. She's not one that's willing to.
But is this the new politician? Someone that doesn't bend for their party, that just builds up a massive social media. I mean, you can compare her to being like a Jake Paul or a Logan Paul, where they're like, look, I don't give a shit about you, Dana White, UFC. I don't care about you boxers. I got my own following. I'm going to go make my money. The people are going to follow me and get in line or don't get in line. I'm doing my own thing. Social media has been the great equalizer these days. Look at her career right now.
No, I think that's right. What you're saying is right. And she speaks for her generation. She's appealing, and I could see where people, would follow her. But I think what Tucker Carlson is saying, I want to defend him only because it's my understanding she was raised in the suburban area, not in the Bronx, in the hood, like she's claiming, or maybe she doesn't claim it, and while she has every right to express her views and support the people of her community, and seems to be doing that in many ways, because that district, as I understand, has always been real far left. She's in some ways what she accuses other people of being, privileged. She's doesn't come from there, and so she has skill and talent.
The privileged side, I get.
Yeah,
is she privileged? Wasn't she a waitress before this? Her political
she
career?
Was working at I think she was working at Starbucks as a, barista, just like 10 years ago. I don't think she
came from money or anything like that. Clearly not.
The thing they're talking about the other day, she was flying first class, and she booked the flight on first class, and She was getting heat to say, now you don't want to sit with the common people. You want to sit in the first class with rich people. She's going to get, and the reason why she's going to get that hate, girl from Bronx at AOC who beat high-ranking Democrat Joe Crowley faces questions over her working-class background after it's revealed she grew up in a wealthy suburb north of New York City.
Yeah, but this article's like 5 years ago.
It is 5 years ago.
Ocasio, 28.
Social working class claims she has made 40-minute commute from Bronx to Chicago, but her architect father bought a house in wealthy Westchester County in 1991. Ocasio Cortez went on to attend Boston University and interned for Ted Kennedy. Yeah, there you go. Well,
I stand by what I say. That's not representative of the Bronx. I mean, I came from the city of Chicago. I wish I could have been an intern for a U.S. senator when I was coming up, before I went to college. Now, I don't mean to say that this is some negative thing about her, but she's had some. That part of the Democrat Party points their fingers at white guys and other people for being privileged, and yet their background is no different of the very people that they point fingers at. That's the only point I'm trying to say. But if you're asking me, is she the new form of political leader today? No question about it. She is. And social media gives people, whatever their political viewpoints might be, a certain freedom where if they can build up support like you've done here with your podcast, you can be a separate individual entity and independent, and that could, in the long run, maybe serve our democracy in a good way.
Well, the analogy there is like we are no longer beholden to the mainstream media or the mainstream big government. If you can create your own lane, like a PBD, or like a Rogan, or like an AOC, the world is yours.
Exactly.
You know, today, this is the only difference, though. You have to realize what's going on today, which is scary. Today, for the first time, 40 years ago, complainers didn't have the mic. 40 years ago, you didn't hear complainers having a mic. We heard from doers, is what it was, right? Whoever spoke was a doer. Whoever had the limelight was a doer. Today, the world is a little bit confused because complainers can get up there and sell a great argument in a convincing way and recruit other complainers. And that mic today is very, very loud. And they're better recruiters than doers. Here's why. A lot of times a doer will do the following. Here's the weakness of a doer. The weakness of a doer is the doer eventually goes and says, you know what? I don't even want to, that whole argument, if you are seen arguing with if you wrestle with a pig, how does that saying go?
If you wrestle with a pig, prepare to get some mud on you.
Yeah, you're going to end up being the same thing, right? So a lot of times if you argue with somebody that's just a, person that makes no sense, others are sitting there saying, why are you even defending yourself, right?
Argue with an idiot and look in the mirror, basically.
Yeah, you are the idiot. So why are you associating yourself with an idiot? So a doer will say, you know what, I'm good, man, I'm going to leave. But this guy's not going to stop talking to the complainer. The complainer's going to keep going. And others will interpret that and say, did you see? The complainer had a point. He won because the other guy walked away. Where in reality, the doer just said, I don't have time for you. I got to go build my business. I got to go in the arena. I got to go get the hate. I got to go try to build a economy so other people can have jobs and see what I can survive and still raise a family and still raise kids and still do all this stuff that I'm doing. So the only difference today with the great equalizer of the mic is a complainer with a very persuasive way of communicating could baptize more people into the mindset of a complainer than a doer.
Well, I don't know, because let me give you a different perspective.
Sure.
Because nobody argues and debates with more complainers than you. You have socialists and communists come on and you have great arguments and disagreements with them. And one of the things that you say is, let the audience decide. Because I would classify a socialist in America today as a complainer, right? But you're able to have these very impactful conversations, and yeah, they might make a point, but you're oftentimes going to make a way more valid point, and then the audience can decide who really is the idiot in that conversation. Do I have a point there?
No, you have a very good point there. I agree with you that there are a lot of, listen, take Rogan. Rogan will bring anybody and have a conversation with them, right? And the audience has to decide what they have to say. And AOC today, her argument today is creating momentum because of what's going on. I can't tell you how many parents I'm speaking to, and they say the following. Here's how many parents I'm speaking to. And I'll say, so what's your biggest struggle right now with your kids? Oh my gosh, my daughter thinks AOC is her hero. My son is obsessed with AOC. It's their hero. So there's nobody like somebody, this young person here that's coming up, it's their hero. It's their hero, right? And why? They're right, and you talk to the kids. So tell me, why are you such a big fan of AOC? you don't think these rich people? And I always ask an open-ended questions of these young people that are between 18, 17 to 28 years old. I say, so what do you think my capitalist? Con. All they care about is money. That's exactly why AOC is going to go after them. That's why this, and you're sitting there saying, got it. So,
And they have wealthy parents.
and not necessarily wealthy parents, but parents who are upper class, who are making money, who are going to school. Parents who
tend to believe in capitalism.
they tend to believe in capitalism, but their kids are being convinced by this. So, again, this tool, social media, is allowing people to convert, and complainers sometimes. So I guess the challenge will be the following. So your question leads to a challenge. The challenge will be for doers to be a little bit more louder. Okay.
Just like you are.
Yeah. You know how sometimes they say, stop posting these pictures. I'm not going to post anything. Okay. I'm just going to post a regular.
I don't even want to deal with it.
Yeah. So I don't even want to deal with it, right? But you know what? No, you have to keep posting. You have to keep posting because we have to. Right. I want my kid to look up to a person to say, I want to go make an impact, and I want to go build a good life. And you realize the older you get, money matters more. It just does. Money matters more the older you get. Raising kids. Yesterday we have a couple with our that was on the. We're spending time with them the afternoon. I sent a video to you yesterday when I'm doing the FaceTime with you. The guy was sitting next to me, and the cost of raising kids today, the cost of having a family today, it ain't cheap today to have a family. It's a lot of work to have a family. It's very complicated to have a family. So I just think doers need to be a little bit louder. Power to those who are doing it, who question everything.
Well, look at Elon Musk. There's no bigger doer than him these days, and that guy's got the bully pulpit.
And he is so incredibly important, and another guy that has to be constantly challenged and protected, because they're going to keep going after this guy. Respect to him for not backing down. He posted a picture the other day, and he's got such a great sense of humor. He posted a picture go on his Twitter account. He posted a very funny picture the other day. I don't know if you saw it or not. It was a picture of 1980s phone booth versus today. Did you see that? Go to that picture he posted. Gotta love this guy's sense of humor, right? To click on that. Phone booth in 1992, phone booth in 2022.
He's not wrong.
He is not wrong, not for sure. Go ahead, you were going to say
I'd like
something.
to do a shout out to another group of the Fellowship of the Doers. Okay, I'm in the trucking industry. I work for this company called CDL 1000, owned by Andrew Sopko, Ukrainian immigrant, great American success story like you. Truckers and the truckers up in Canada, freedom fighters. These people are hardworking men and women, go to work every day. They drive long, lonely roads, long hours, delivering the food we put on the table, clothes that we wear, the building materials for the houses we live in and the buildings we rent from. And now they're trying together to have their voices heard in their capital, and they're facing the elitist ruling class in Canada. And yet I do believe that their example, it's frustrating to see how they're being treated, but their example is a powerful example of doers, people who work hard, getting their voices heard. AOC and that group of young liberals and complainers, as you say, what did Churchill say about young people? If you're not a liberal when you're young, you have no heart. If you're not a conservative when you're older, you don't have a brain. Mm-hmm. I'm confident history will repeat itself, and our kids, including my daughters, will have a little bit more common sense as they have more life experience. And God bless her for what she's doing out there, advocating for her views. I'm not so sure she's living that socialist lifestyle they advocate. Either is Bernie Sanders, because he's worth millions, isn't he? But regular, everyday people, forgotten people, silent Americans are starting to rise up. Parents at school boards, truck drivers in Canada.
It's great to see.
It is great to see. And they're going to save our country. And they're going to put pressure on their political leaders who are going to back down, because most politicians are afraid of the people. They don't trust the people. And if the people rise up and recognize they're being lied to, those politicians will hear them and they'll adjust.
So if you enjoyed this little short segment from the podcast that we did, here's another short segment to watch. Or if you want to see the entire podcast, click over here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.